that's not who I am. I can control myself. I'm fine.
We're
So
here
it
to
was, it
and we're
was,
here to experience. This is the thing, aren't we? So,
I kind of, that was around the time when I left my husband as well. So
oh,
I turned into my adolescence, but
okay, okay, okay,
that's at the end.
okay,
That's part of the story.
okay.
But I realized that it was a story.
Some people get ill because of that. Some people get sort of serious
Right.
addictions. Some people will get serious disease as a result of that. I mean, that is not a functional upbringing. I mean,
No,
we
it's
know
not.
that.
I also learned as a young child, starting in the fourth grade at age 9, that I could determine it was very strange. Energy is incredibly powerful. If I had an amazing day, that's when, boys started to really pay attention to me. And, we get excited and we feel really good about ourselves. If I felt really good and had a good day, my mom would take something very special away from me. So I learned at a very young age to not listen to music because it could be taken away, to not enjoy certain things. I stopped playing with toys because they would be taken away. Anything that I showed interest in
Right,
could be taken away.
right.
So I lived my life that way.
Yeah.
I graduated high school, which this was all very difficult too because when my dad died right before my 14th birthday, which is in the summer, right before school started, my mom shipped me off to boarding school and I ended up with the money that the state gave me as an orphan, as they called me. I ended up working in the kitchen and paying my way through boarding school.
Right.
When I was a senior in high school, I started to feel my power. It was like when I was 17. And I said, I want to go home and live with my mom. She just got remarried and I want to be a family. So I refused, and I'd go into the headmaster's office every day. I'm going home. I'm going home. So he finally shipped me home, sent me home on an airplane 2 weeks later. And I spent one night in my family home, and the next day was shipped off. I didn't know this at the time. I woke up, and my mom said, pack up, we're going. You're living with X, Y, and Z. And so I had to work my way through my last year of high school, which I ended up having to do, paying room and board and living on my own, but still following the exact rules of my mother who would check in daily. So, it was not a very easy life that I had. I ended up meeting my husband 2 weeks out of high school. This is the man that I had been married to almost all of my life. He was a bit older, and I married him at 18. When I would ask him to please have men stop coming on to me, I had Playboy 3 times approach me here at the beaches. He was an actor, and they would ask me if I would do bikini scenes. All this frightened me because it would come around my sexuality, and I had not the mother to support me, to make me the rock star that I am. It's the divine right of every female and male to live within their own body to feel perfect. So when my husband said he enjoyed the attention I was getting, after a couple years, I decided, well, that's it. I'm going to eat my way through every culture, meaning that if any man looked at me, I would eat again and again through everybody that stopped looking at me. And this was really hard on me physically and emotionally. I kind of cocooned myself away. I still was working until I was able to be blessed with my children, and I stayed at home with them. But I still did a lot of volunteer work. Raising these 2 beautiful boys was just an incredible joy to me.
And how old were you when you first fell
Well,
pregnant?
I'm older. I'm older than I look. I'm 50.
No. Well, I knew that. I knew that. I
I'm
had to say
50.
that, but I knew that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but see, this is all part of being in touch with your divine core.
Yeah.
I know that I was placed on this earth to serve others, and so I know that there's a reason for everything. Why I look the way I look, why I had the troubles that I had, because my clients are the ones that are raped and stalked and abused. And I ask other self-love teachers, do you get these kind of exciting cases? Oh no. And I'm like, you don't? Okay, good. Then I guess, they're meant for me. So,
How overweight were you at one
so
point?
I was over 300 pounds, probably like 325, 340. I was in a wheelchair due to an accident where I was hit on the head at a store, and my spine was crooked, and my leg had paralysis in it, and I got paralysis in my hands and my wrists from my spine being out of alignment. And I had physical therapy 4 times a week. And it was getting bleaker and bleaker and bleaker. And I was on my 45th birthday, and my husband had cheated on me 10 years before. We had gone through a crisis with 9/11. Due to my childhood, I had post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. So when 9/11 hit, even though I lived in California and I watched it on like everyone else on the TV, they were saying that Los Angeles Airport, International Airport, LAX, was going to be bombed. So I went nuts because we lived near LAX and I had two little ones and I kept them out of school and I literally started carrying knives in the car in case some bad guy, whoever the bad guy was, would approach us. So I ended up having to be admitted to a hospital by choice because I totally was depressed and cracked up, and it was all post-traumatic stress disorder. But that was the most beautiful experience that ever happened to me because it was my first major transformational program. And it was not just any institution, which is beautiful because I learned about all this stuff and I learned who I truly was, learned to stop alcoholism, narcotics, gambling, sex addiction. I was the only one there for depression. I felt like an outcast, but it was, again, a blessing. I got to go to everybody else's meetings because every night we had to attend some kind of a 12-step meeting. Okay. And so I learned about me. That's where I learned about my mother being a drug addict. I knew she was, but putting two and two together and realizing and doing research into why I wasn't able to maintain caring children. I learned so much about me. And about the second weekend, I stopped crying and I started living. And I met different counselors who would say, you need Tai Chi. But they started planting seeds of things that I should be doing because they could sense it with their energy. They could sense who I was. And every day the administrator would come into our group sessions and she'd say, Mia, do you know that you're a miracle? And I would say, but we're all miracles because that's just me, you know? Again, as a giver and not a receiver, I was still spreading out the love, but not accepting it to myself. So I learned through this to love myself even more. The self-love did start when I was 25 because my sister was seeking out therapy at the time and my mother was driving me insane. I remember the first time I looked in the mirror and said, I love you. I started crying and saying, no, I hate you. And this is part of the work that everything that I've done to heal myself, I incorporate into my work with my clients. And looking at yourself in the mirror and literally talking to you and being focused on you is one of the hardest things that you can do. And it's not when you're doing your makeup and it's not when you're, because I'll have clients that are like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. I've done my makeup and my hair and I've done my mirror work. And I'll say, you mean together? And they're like, uh-huh. And I'm like, uh-uh. From now on, again, you get your pad of paper and you stand in front. If it means you wake up 15 minutes early, you wake up 15 minutes earlier. So we have to get past these blocks of who we are and who we are not, and the lies that we have told ourselves and the lies that others have told us throughout our life. And it truly is, that's for the first time I ever hugged myself was 25 years ago, besides the mirror work. And I thought, wow, this feels really amazingly strange, but good. So we can nurture ourselves on many different levels. Self-love is from buying yourself flowers to literally getting to know the depth of who you are and loving every dark corner until there's light that shines in there. Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, lovely.